Okay, so now moving on to the grasp. All these grasp you need to know for the student-led questions on the exam. The grasps are big. You're going to be using these, especially if you're going to work with children. Even if you're not, you work with these with adults as well for the rest of your career. So you really need to know these grasps well. It's a big part about being an OT, knowing the grasp of the hand. Okay, so let's get right into these. First grasp you need to know is called a spherical grasp. Type of grasp when you're grabbing a big round object like an apple, doorknob, anything big and circular. Developmentally, for children, it usually starts around 18 months to about 3 years old. That fully developed spherical grasp. Just generally, rehab-wise, the smooth balls may be frustrating with the people that are struggling with this kind of grasp. You can use tactile or grips kind of stuff. These are kind of just rehab tips. Cylindrical grasp, think of grabbing the hammer. That's the one that really pops out to me. This is a great cylindrical grasp. She's grabbing the hammer on the far right. Here she grabs that grab bar, classic cylindrical grasp. You need thumb opposition as well as finger adduction. See the thumb's coming down with this. We have another one coming up a hook where you're not using the thumb. With this cylindrical, you're definitely using the thumb. Think of the hammer. She's holding a rollator here. Crutches, you're classically using a cylindrical grasp. Same age pattern for this one. Compensating, way of compensating is a sippy cup. Here's one that's a little bit confusing, but it's a huge one. The palmar prehension or the tripod grasp. It's even called three-jaw chuck in some cases. It's confusing. They always have more than one name for things. Really need to know all the names because you hear them in different contexts, different literature, and therapists use different ones. I usually say tripod. To me, it's just the three fingers coming together, and I classically think of the pencil grip is using that classic tripod. Not that you have to have a classic tripod to write well. Here's person tying their shoes with a tripod, using that tripod, palmar prehension, or three-jaw chalk to pick up bottle cap. Use it a lot of different things. This is a higher level stuff. This is 3 to 5. This is why it's so key. OT-wise, we're trying to develop the higher level kind of grasp, more fine motor manipulation of the fingers. That thumb coming in gives greater control. You can compensate. OTs commonly compensate by building things up. So let's say a child is really struggling to hold their pencil. We may make it thicker, some kind of grippy thing on there. Also commonly, if it's somebody like an adult or neurologically impaired, and we know it's not going to get better, it's kind of a as good as it gets kind of deal, we may design a splint that holds the hand, positions the hand to facilitate that tripod grasp. For example, I had a guy who was paralyzed from a diving accident, and we built a splint to put his fingers into that tripod so he could manipulate the joystick on his electric wheelchair. So he could use his wheelchair with this splint that we designed. Palmar grasp, this is a real primitive kind of grasp, one of those reflexes kind of things that we'll be learning more about. If you ever had a child or worked with a baby, classically you just put your fingers in their palm and they instantly grasp it, as in this picture. They don't have control over it. There's no volition or, conscious control. It just instinctively happens. And it's very crude kind of grasp. 6 months to 8 months, they start to kind of move away from that. So moving from this gross kind of palmar reflex thing towards more of a tripod tip prehension kind of grasp. And here's the tip prehension, which is higher level, a little bit higher level, 9 to 10 months. I would say it kind of goes palmar, and then the tip, and then you get the tripod. And I think of this tip, it's two fingers together. Think of the Cheerios. Classically, the child is picking up Cheerios with two fingers. Here she's picking up some fruit, picking up a little stone, marbles. A lot of OTs are using marbles and small objects to work on these kinds of grasp for children. The hook grasp can be confusing. It doesn't involve the thumb. That's the big distinguishing characteristics. I always think of carrying the bucket or carrying a bag like they are here. They're flexing, extending their MPs, flexing their DIP, PIPs. If if you do that right now, if you extend your knuckle joint, your MP, and just flex your PIPs and DIPs, and extend your thumb, don't even get your thumb involved. That's the hook. Think of you're using a hook to hold some buckets or something. Intrinsic plus grasp. This is kind of when you're grabbing a book or a laptop. She's using it here to grab a laptop in the bottom. She's got this poor fish and an intrinsic plus grasp. MP's flexed and full extension. Grasping objects, holding large objects such as books or plates. And they're all those digits kind of in extension except for the MPs. Lateral prehension, I always think of key, use that key to open your door. Use this to a degree to most people. Everybody has different grasp, but most people when you're holding a fork, holding a pen sometimes. And here they all come together. There's the cylindrical, the tip, the hook grasp, the three-jaw chuck, or the palmar prehension, or the tripod. Spherical, grabbing the ball object, and the lateral, think of the key thumb over the side of the finger there. Okay, let's wrap this one